IAEA has no proof of active Iranian nuclear weapon program. Gaza on brink of man-made drought, risking children death. Good afternoon and Salam Malaysia MADANI. I'm Olivia Nicholas and you're watching World Today. Deputy Prime Minister Dato Sri Fadillah Yusuf's official working visit to Uzbekistan and Russia, scheduled to begin today, is expected to expand Malaysia's strategic network in the fields of energy and water at the international level. Dato Sri Fadillah will be on the working visit to Uzbekistan from the 21st to the 24th of June. Among the contents of the visit is a courtesy call on Uzbek President Shavkat Mirziyoyev to discuss bilateral affairs and efforts to expand cooperation in the fields of energy and sustainable development. Dato Sri Fadillah is also scheduled for a joint meeting with Uzbekistan's Energy Minister Jurabek Mirza Makhmudov, will focus on discussions on technical cooperation and investment in renewable energy. Malaysia's ambassador to Uzbekistan, Ilham Tuah Ilyas, said that the visit reflects Malaysia's commitment to forming global strategic partnerships to address future energy and water challenges.
It's very important to show that the active engagement between the Malaysian government and Uzbekistan government. During this visit, Yang Amat Berhormat Timbalan Perdana Menteri Datuk Seri Fadillah Yusof will be meeting with the energy sector, representative of the energy sector here in Uzbekistan, to continue in various sectors, such as in the green technology and also in the oil and gas sector.
The Deputy Prime Minister is also expected to attend the 2025 Malaysia-Uzbekistan Business Forum in Tashkent. Afterwards, he will deliver a keynote address speech at the 2025 UN Public Service Forum in Samarkand.
Furthermore, there will be a business forum on the 24th, which is co-hosted by the Malaysian-Uzbek Business Alliance, as well as with the Ministry of International Trade and Industry of Uzbekistan. There will be about 30 companies coming and about 100 participants to engage with each other after the forum, which is officiated by Datuk Seri Fadillah. And there will be a B2B matching after that event.
After concluding his visit at Uzbekistan, Dato Sri Fadillah will continue on his working visit to Russia from the 25th to the 28th of June. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres warned on Friday that expansion of the Israel-Iran conflict could ignite a fire no one can control, and called on parties to conflict and potential parties to the conflict to give peace a chance. Guterres made an urgent plea for de-escalation, calling the spiraling confrontation a defining moment for the future of global security. The UN Secretary-General made the remarks to the United Nations Security Council as European foreign ministers met their Iranian counterpart on Friday, hoping to test Tehran's readiness to negotiate a new nuclear deal, despite there being scant prospect of Israel ceasing its attacks soon.
The world is watching with growing alarm. We are not drifting toward crisis. We are racing toward it. We are not witnessing isolated incidents. We are on course to potential chaos. The expansion of this conflict could ignite a fire that no one can control. We must not let that happen.
He also called for unity within the Security Council and adherence to the UN Charter.
That would have prevented them from ever.
Iran pledged it would continue to defend itself against Israel during a UN Security Council session on Friday, while Israel's UN ambassador vowed that his country would not stop its attacks until Iran's nuclear threat is dismantled.
Madam President, Iran has exercised its inherent right to self-defense under Article 51 of the UN Charter. our response have complied fully with international law, including humanitarian law. We have taken all necessary precautions to protect civilians.
Meanwhile, Israel's ambassador to the United Nations, Danny Danon, stressed that striking Iran is an act that should have not been done a long time ago and claimed they are stopping a threat that could endanger the world.
Though our homes, our families, and our children are under threat, we will not stop. Not until Iran's nuclear threat is dismantled. Not until its war machine is disarmed. Not until our people and yours are safe. This is not just Israel's fight. It is the world's fight, and if no one else will fight it, we will.
International Atomic Energy Agency (IAEA) Director General Rafael Grossi on Friday said that Iran currently possesses enough nuclear material for several warheads, but stressed this should not be equated with a nuclear weapon. Grossi added that the agency has no tangible proof of an active Iranian program to manufacture nuclear weapons.
I'm a diplomat, and I believe that there is a way to take this danger or this concern out of the table in a negotiated way with a very robust, as I said, I've been in conversations, very good conversations with Steve Witkoff and with the Iranians as well. I believe that there are ways in which we can make sure that Iran does not get a nuclear weapon.
Iran said on Friday it would not discuss the future of its nuclear program while under attack by Israel as Europe tried to coax Tehran back into negotiations and the United States considers whether to get involved in the conflict. European foreign ministers met their Iranian counterpart on Friday, hoping to test Tehran's readiness to negotiate a new nuclear deal despite there being scant prospect of Israel ceasing its attacks soon. European ministers spoke in advance to U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who signaled the U.S. is open to direct talks. The ministers from Britain, France and Germany, known as the E3 plus the European Union's foreign policy chief, met separately in Geneva prior to talks with Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi that began mid-afternoon. Tehran has repeatedly said it will not talk to the Trump government until Israeli attacks end. Two European diplomats said the E3 did not believe that Israel would accept a ceasefire in the immediate term and that it would be difficult for Iran and the US to resume negotiations. Given the escalation in the conflict, the two sides would aim for a quick political framework to get concessions from Iran and a ceasefire before entering in-depth negotiations. The Trump administration is demanding Iran stop uranium enrichment altogether, whereas the E3 have in past talks left it some scope to enrich for civil ends in exchange for extremely strict international inspections. UNICEF said on Friday Gaza is on the brink of a man-made drought, with only 40% of drinking water production facilities remain functional in the besieged enclave. According to UNICEF spokesperson James Elder, if the current aid blocking does not end, children will begin to die of thirst. According to the agency, out of 217 drinking water production facilities in Gaza, only 87 are currently operational. Elder added that the crisis is entirely political, not technical. He emphasized that the worsening situation could be reversed with political will. The warning follows months of deliberate Israeli strikes that have destroyed large parts of Gaza's water and sanitation infrastructure. Acute watery diarrhea now accounts for 1 in every 4 disease cases recorded in Gaza. Hepatitis A, a highly contagious and potentially fatal infection, has been confirmed. UNICEF expects both to worsen as temperatures rise. The agency also reported a 50% increase in children aged 6 months to 5 years admitted for treatment of malnutrition from April to May in Gaza and 500,000 people going hungry. Panama's government on Friday temporarily suspended some constitutional rights in the western province of Bocas del Toro hours after businesses and government offices were ransacked following more than a month of protest and roadblocks over a pension reform law. The government said the situation in Bocas del Toro had escalated dangerously after violence on Thursday. Nationwide, protesters backed by unions and indigenous groups have faced off with authorities over a pension reform law passed in March. Confrontations have been particularly intense in Bocas del Toro, largely led by workers at a local Chiquita banana plantation. Chiquita called the workers' strike an unjustified abandonment of work and sacked thousands of employees. However, those workers ultimately withdrew from the protest after they were able to negotiate the restoration of some benefits that had been removed under the March pension reform. Still, the government said roadblocks in Bocas del Toro have yet to be lifted, though it did not directly attribute them to the Chiquita workers. Chinese state broadcaster CCTV reported on Friday rescue personnel evacuated at least 53,000 residents as flooding triggered by heavy rains inundated several cities and towns across southern China's Hunan and Hubei provinces. Central and southern China were on high alert for more flash floods as the annual East Asia monsoon gathered pace. On Thursday, heavy rain in southern Henan triggered the largest flood since 1998 in the upper and lower reaches of the Lishui River after its water levels breached the safety mark by more than 2 meters. Red alerts, the first for this year, were issued late on Thursday covering the provinces of Anhui, Henan, Hubei, Hunan, Guizhou and Guangxi region. The provincial departments of finance and emergency management on Friday urgently allocated $4.18 million in flood control and disaster relief funds. China is experiencing heavy and sudden rain in many parts, which meteorologists have attributed to climate change, leaving its huge population vulnerable to related disasters. Ghanaian officials said on Friday they destroyed 3.3 tons of cocaine valued at over $350 million, the largest such seizure in the country's history. The drugs were intercepted in March during a joint operation by the National Intelligence Bureau, NIB, and the Narcotics Control Commission, NARCOC, in Cape Coast, central Ghana. The drugs were found concealed beneath sand in a timber truck en route from the western region to Accra. Deputy Director General of NARCOC, Alexander Tool Barima, said the drug's high purity ranged from 50% to 70%.
Whatever angle that they use, we are ready. This 350 million worth of cocaine, it was loaded in this tipper truck with, which is used in carrying sand, and they loaded sand on top. So it needs intelligence to be able to intercept such a thing. If not, it will just pass through and go away and then go and dump it somewhere and then they'll start taking it off.
The destruction took place under heavy security and included smaller amounts of other drugs, including heroin and methamphetamine. West Africa has long been a transit point for drugs bound for Europe from South America, with large seizures relatively common in the region.
Tingkap dan pintu untuk kekal dingin dan lebih jimat.
Up next in sports, Flamengo stage comeback against Chelsea 3-1. Stay tuned.
Padamkan komputer untuk lebih penjimatan.
Kicking off our sports segment this afternoon, substitute Bruno Henrique played a starring role as Flamengo came in roaring back in the second half to beat Chelsea 3-1 at the Club World Cup on Friday, maintaining an impressive record for South American teams so far at the competition.
Pedro Neto had given Chelsea the lead in the first half, but Flamengo, roared on by their frenzied supporters, refused to give in and produced a stunning fight back after the interval. Bruno Henrique came off the bench in the 56th minute and equalised for the Brazilian Giants just after the hour mark before setting up Danilo to make it 2-1. Chelsea were stunned and their hopes of pulling level again were effectively destroyed when substitute Nicolas Jackson was sent off in the 68th minute. Wallace Jan, also on as a substitute, then sealed the victory for the Rio de Janeiro club, the Brazilian league leaders, when he made it 3-1 late on. The result leaves Flamengo on top of Group D with 6 points from 2 matches, while Chelsea remains second with 3. In another match, Leandro Barreiro scored in the 76th and 78th minutes as Benfica pulled away to a 6-0 victory over semi-pro side Auckland City in a Group C encounter Friday, one plagued by a lengthy half-time weather delay. Angel Di Maria converted twice from the penalty spot for his second and third goals of the tournament, once in stoppage time of each half. Vangelis Pavlidis and Renato Sanchez added goals early in the second half after play finally restarted. The Portuguese victors pressured until the end, knowing goal differential could determine who advances to the FIFA Club World Cup knockout phase, and Di Maria earned a second penalty shot with one final slaloming run in the box. Benfica will close Group C against Bayern Munich, who defeated Auckland 10-0 in their opener. Officially eliminated, Auckland will play Boca Juniors on matchday 3 on Tuesday.
Liverpool have signed Germany's Florian Wirtz from Bundesliga side Bayern Leverkusen, the Premier League champion said on Friday as they smashed their transfer record to seal a deal for the attacking midfielder. Leverkusen will receive a guaranteed amount of £100 million and a further maximum of £16 million in potential bonuses.
Wirtz, who signed a 5-year contract, also becomes the 5th £100 million plus signing in Premier League history, joining Chelsea midfielders Enzo Fernandez and Moises Caicedo, Arsenal's Declan Rice and Manchester City winger Jack Grealish. Wirtz was instrumental at Leverkusen, leading them to an undefeated domestic league and cup double in the 2023-24 season, while they went 2 league seasons without an away defeat. The German scored 16 goals with 15 assists in 45 matches last season as Leverkusen finished second to Bayern. Capped 31 times by his country since his debut in 2021, Wirtz is the only player to register 10 or more goals and assists in the last 2 Bundesliga seasons. Barcelona's new goalkeeper, Joan Garcia, officially signed with the Spanish champions on Friday after completing a transfer from local rivals Espanyol. Garcia put pen to paper on a contract which will keep him at the Camp Nou until 2031. Barcelona announced the signing on Wednesday after activating the Spanish youth international's €25 million release clause. The 24-year-old shot stopper made more saves with 146 than any other keeper in the 2024-25 La Liga season, while he was also one of just 2 players to play every minute of the campaign, along with Getafe keeper David Soria. Garcia will provide competition for places in goal with German Marc-Andre ter Stegen, who missed most of the season due to knee injury. The club had to coach Wojciech Szczesny out of retirement, and the Polish keeper made 30 appearances in their domestic treble-winning campaign.
In tennis, Carlos Alcaraz avoided another scare at the Queen's Club ATP 500 event as the top-seeded Spaniard dispatched France's Arthur Rinderknecht with little fuss 7-5, 6-4 to reach the semi-finals on Friday. Alcaraz was relieved to overcome the challenge of Rinderknecht in straight sets after he had been forced to come through a grueling three-set battle against Jaume Munar in Thursday's second round.
Alcaraz was ruthless with his opportunities against world number 80 Rinderknecht as the Spaniard took his only 2 break points chances for a 7-5, 6-4 win inside 90 minutes on court. Alcaraz, who won the Wimbledon warm-up event in 2023, will face Spanish compatriot Roberto Bautista Agut in Saturday's semi-finals after he beat 4th seed Holger Rune 7-6, 6-7, 6-2. Meanwhile, Britain's Jack Draper continued his Wimbledon build-up as he reached the semi-finals at Queen's for the first time with a 6-4, 5-7, 6-4 defeat of American Brandon Nakashima. Draper not only kept himself on track for the prestigious ATP 500 title, but also secured the win that guarantees a top 4 seeding at Wimbledon, where he will be the big home hope. The 23-year-old was fully tested by world number 32 Nakashima, and his powerful game began to misfire as he lost the second set on a baking hot day on Andy Murray Arena. But Draper settled back into the groove in the deciding set and broke serve in the 7th game with one of his trademark forehand pile drivers. The left-hander had to save a break point when serving for the match at 5-4, but recovered to seal victory and set up a clash with Czech Jiří Lekeka.
Elsewhere, world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka showed nerves of steel and champion's resolve to defeat Elena Rybakina 7-6, 3-6, 3-7-6 in their Berlin Open quarterfinal on Friday, saving 4 match points in the final set tie-break. Sabalenka's grit and power proved decisive against the 2022 Wimbledon champion.
The first set was a seesaw battle with Rybakina breaking for a 4-2 lead before Sabalenka hit straight back. Both players held serve from 4-4 to force a tie-break where Sabalenka edged it 8-6. Rybakina responded by racing into a 2-0 lead in the second set and breaking again late to close it out 6-3. The deciding set was fiercely contested with Sabalenka breaking for 5-4 but failing to serve out the match as Rybakina broke back and held for 6-5. Sabalenka then held under pressure to force a tie-break, which produced the match's most dramatic twist. Sabalenka will face Czech Markéta Vondrousová next, who is aiming for her first final since winning Wimbledon in 2023. Vondrousová defeated Ons Jabeur 6-4, 6-1 in a rematch of the 2023 Wimbledon final. Chinese qualifier Wang Xinyu advanced to the semi-finals after 8th seed Paula Badosa retired due to a right hip injury during their quarter-final clash. Wang, ranked 49th in the world, was leading 6-1, 0-0 when Badosa pulled out of the contest. The 23-year-old Wang has enjoyed a breakout week in the German capital, beating second seed Coco Gauff in the previous round. She will next face Russia's Lyudmila Samsonova, who dispatched American Amanda Anisimova 6-1, 6-1.
Colourful stories await in our offbeat segment. Stay tuned.
Elektrik 5 bintang memberikan perkhidmatan 5 bintang.
Over 5,000 kite enthusiasts from 26 countries have gathered on the Danish island of Fano this week to celebrate the 40th anniversary of the island's kite festival. The festival, which opens on Thursday and runs through Sunday, will feature more than 25,000 kites. Among the highlights of the festival is a 100-meter-long Indonesian kite. Kite flyers were already testing their creations on Tuesday ahead of the official opening.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's really great to do it and to see the long tail here. I'm so happy to be a part of it.
I come with the organic traditional kite with the organic material and traditional kite structure. And Western is a modern style with high technology material and structure also.
Known for its wide, flat beaches that stretches approximately 14 kilometers and consistent coastal winds, the island is considered a prime destination for kite flying. In the waters around the uninhabited island of Gyaros in the northern Cyclades, marine scientists are working to restore underwater forest of Sentiasa, a species of brown algae important for biodiversity that has suffered degradation, affecting critical ecosystems. According to the Hellenic Center for Marine Research, scientists cultivate and replant the algae on rocky seabeds. Sentiasa seedlings are transferred to Gyaros reef after being cultivated in ceramic disc. The co-funded EU project Reforest is part of an effort to enhance biodiversity in a rich marine protected area included in the Natura 2000 European network of protected areas. Marine ecologist Politimi Lardi said Sentiasa is directly affected by climate change, with warming winters and summers affecting its reproductive cycle by the release of less spores.
We have noticed that because the winters are warmer and the summers are even warmer at some points, the reproductive cycle of Schistosera species is affected, which means that some years they may not release spores, so they do not reproduce.
Armed with a rake and measuring equipment, 20-year-old artist Pierre Louis Coulier strolls onto a wide sandy beach on France's Atlantic coast. A few hours of work later, an intricate mandala, a complex circular design common in Hinduism and Buddhism, appears on the smooth sand, merging with an outcrop of seaweed-covered rocks. Coulier says he began sketching designs on sand rather than paper at 14 years old, and now 6 years later he continues his craft both personally and professionally.
Depuis tout petit, j'aime dessiner et j'ai commencé en fait sur papier beaucoup. Et puis après, vu que j'habite en bord de mer, j'en ai profité pour aller dessiner sur la plage. J'ai découvert en fait ça sur internet, qu'on pouvait dessiner sur le sable. Et vu que j'étais juste à côté de la mer, je me suis dit je prends un râteau et puis j'y vais, je vais essayer ça. Donc depuis, au fur et à mesure, ça en est venu une véritable passion et un métier, voilà.
His hobby has also turned profitable as he accepts commissions to do corporate logos on the sand for marketing purposes.
And that wraps up our bulletin this afternoon. In our top story, IAEA has no proof of active Iranian program for nuclear weapon. Do join us again tonight at 8:30 p.m. for more news on TV1 and Salaran Berita RTM. Or you can stream us live on RTM Click's website and mobile app. Till then, I'm Olivia Nicholas, Malaysia MADANI, Rakyat Disantuni. Goodbye and have a wonderful weekend ahead.